Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today's Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick my gun and customization for each episode. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you'd like me to use, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode. Today's top comment comes from Potato Crew, and I apologize for the Russian swearing in advance. He says the Sukyablit Rush B loadout. We'll be using the engineer class with the P90. He says stock. I put a laser sight on there just because of the way he wants me to play with it, and I figured it'd make a better video in general. Then we'll be using the Desert Eagle stock, flash grenades, DS3 decoy with no gadget, the Weaver knife optional as the Huntsman knife, offensive perk, and then we are a silver 1 trying to get by with our P90 or Pro 90 as it's known in Counter-Strike, and awesome headshotting skills with your deagle. Try to go hipfire only just like in CSGO. I hope you pick my loadout, keep up the good work, and thanks. And yes, this is basically the Counter-Strike Noob loadout, and I pretty much tried to go hipfire the whole time, which is why I put a laser sight on the P90 there, as it's just going to be that much more effective and better in general. If you're hipfiring only, put a laser sight on your weapon. And I will admit, as a mediocre Counter-Strike player, at best, the P90 is definitely a go-to weapon for me a lot of times, just because it's simple, it's straightforward, you don't have to learn some complicated recoil pattern and get good with that just before you can kill people. You just kind of point it and spray in a general direction. So fun gun to use for sure in Counter-Strike and definitely in Battlefield. Now, if you haven't tried PDWs much in Battlefield, as I would imagine is the case with most people since they're not very versatile weapons, you might want to come back to them and give them a try, especially putting laser sights on there. PDWs have got great hipfire accuracy, which is useful in TDM style maps with lots of close quarter action. As you can see, that's pretty much exclusively what I'm playing here. If I was playing on any sort of big wide open field oriented map, I'm not going to get any benefits from that hipfire accuracy, and it's not going to put me in a good situation. But when you're up close and personal, man, can you dish out the damage, and it's pretty fun to see how effective you can be just shooting hipfire. Now obviously the downside to this compared to say Counter-Strike is you generally adjust your sensitivity in Counter-Strike so that your hipfire, or rather your only accuracy level, is exactly where you want it to be. Where in Battlefield, generally speaking, I don't shoot from the hip. I have my sensitivity set for ADS where I like it, and hipfire is a little bit less sensitive, so my accuracy overall with hipfire isn't the greatest. But if you get close enough and you spray enough, it doesn't really matter too much. That's the whole point of the P90. You just kind of get close enough and then start spraying. And I will admit, running around and only hipfiring people as sort of a rule here really brought back some memories from Battlefield 3 back when the MP7 was sort of the hipfire king and you could absolutely obliterate people with it. It was just fun having a nice variety of ways to run in that game. MP7 not quite as effective as it used to be, but there are still some fun little things you can do with hipfire, and it was really fun, especially to run some of the PDWs on, say, the Assaulter class back when you could assign them to any class you wanted and just obliterate people in games of Metro. Now, Battlefield 3 had a lot more close quarter infantry oriented maps where PDWs excelled way more so than they do in BF4. The close quarter maps are the ones that I chose to play on for this gameplay here in BF4, and a lot of them have medium to even long range areas where I just can't progress up with the PDW, or I have very limited pushing options. So as much fun as it can be with the PDW, you're always kind of limiting your versatility as a player when you pick one, which I think is just kind of unfortunate in general, and there aren't enough maps to really cater to exclusively close quarter combat. That being said, I was having no trouble staying on the top of my team, only hipfiring with a P90. It is one of the better hipfire guns in the game, which is nice. It has a .75 hipfire accuracy, and when you throw a laser sight on there, that makes it even more accurate. So the P90 is going to have accuracy levels comparable to other weapons when ADSing. Again, it is a PDW, so the damage output per shot is not great. The damage drop off is really bad, but it shoots incredibly fast and has a 50 round magazine. So close quarters, it's good to go. It's also got great on the move accuracy, so you can basically take a lot of people by surprise in this game, where generally speaking the advised strategy is to slow peek a corner while aiming down sight so you can get your shots off as accurately and quickly as possible when running a P90 P90 set up for hipfire, you can just run around that corner and start spraying without even having to ADS. So it saves you a bit of time and you don't really have to play the accuracy game as much. In fact, if you really wanted to get try hard about this, you could change your hipfire sensitivity to the same as your ADS sensitivity and try playing that way. I believe Jack Frags actually plays Battlefield 4 that way, so that he can transition between this game and Counter-Strike as seamlessly as possible. Now, I will admit I was getting a bit nostalgic here, really thinking about Battlefield 3's close quarter expansion. Admittedly, I wasn't as huge a fan of it when it first came out because Battlefield 3 already had a lot of good close quarter maps, and the close quarter expansion basically just made it crazy close quarter and super chaotic. But I do kind of miss those maps now, just because of the complete lack of close quarter maps in BF4. I mean, we got lockers, we kind of have Siege of Shanghai on TDM. There just aren't a lot of other maps out there that offer exclusive CQB gameplay where you can just run with shotguns and feel completely adequate and not ever need those long range weapons, because there's just no long range areas of the map. I do miss it, and it would have been cool had Battlefield 4 included some sort of more close quarter oriented DLC. Alas, they didn't, but maybe we'll see something like that in Battlefield 5. I have no idea what to expect for the next game, but I really hope they give us a little bit more variety with the infantry versus full-on big vehicle warfare maps. Now, I usually like to talk about my personal preferences for customizing a gun versus the loadout's preferences. Here with the P90, there's really not a lot I would change. I'd probably put something like a coyote sight on there in case I needed to ADS, but honestly, the P90 with a laser sight on there has hipfire accuracy pretty much comparable to its aiming down sight accuracy. It could be a little bit more accurate while aiming down sight, but for most situations it's not going to matter that much. It really just kind of comes down to, do you want to ADS or not? And since there's not too many benefits to do so with the P90, you may as well just hipfire the thing. And generally speaking, the PDWs in BF4 are really good guns. There just aren't enough maps to really take advantage of them, and the fact that you can't apply them to any class like you could in BF3 really makes it so we just don't see them that much at all. Anyway, that wraps it up for today's episode of Loadout. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely try out the P90 for yourself, put that laser sight on there, and have fun. Don't forget to leave your comments for next week's episode, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.